to examine things from the other side of the aisle, I did want to touch on something we talked about last week. That's in the New York Times from just the other day. This is by Peter Baker, who's another very reliable regime spokesperson. But this is about sort of Harris's sort of a change in tone as it relates to Israel and Palestine. The headline is Harris offers support for Israel, but calls out Palestinians' plight after talk with Netanyahu. We talked about the closed door meeting where she supposedly, read him the riot act. But here's in the New York Times, Peter Baker writes it. Vice President Kamala Harris offered Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu strong support for Israel's right to defend itself from terrorism on Thursday, but declared that far too many innocent civilians had died in Gaza and that I will not be silent about their suffering. In what amounted to
I will not be silent? You're the president. Like, I think so much of it, this genre thing is annoying, right? Where like Joe Biden would tweet out like, we should have gun control. And people would be like, you're the president. Like, okay, we get it. But like he's trying to use the office of the president to, put forth his stupid policy goal. But with this, it's like, we won't look away. Well, you can do a lot more than look. There's more things, there are more powers afforded to you here.
It's just a generational update of the same spiel.
Yeah.
They just know to use different words. They know to use different phrases. Like, we see you, we hear you, we're listening. You are valid. We're going to do the same exact shit, but you are valid.
We're going to give better help to Palestinians.
He says here, in what amounted to her debut on the world stage since her rapid ascension as the presumptive Democratic nominee for president, Ms. Harris sought to strike a balance and capture what she called the complexity of the strife in the Middle East. But while she did not stray from President Biden on policy, she struck a stronger tone on the plight of Palestinians. What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating, she told reporters after meeting with Mr. Netanyahu at the White House complex. The images of dead children and desperate, hungry people fleeing for safety, sometimes displaced for the second, third, or fourth time. We cannot look away in the face of these tragedies. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to their suffering, and I will not be silent. Like, this is the most condescending. This is worse, in my opinion, than Joe Biden talking about, videos of babies that he supposedly saw. Because this is like, oh, I'm acknowledging how devastating all these images are, and I won't be silent about the images. What's producing the images? I'm still going to be silent about that. And the images will continue, but we will feel the plight in a way that's even deeper and more emotional now than it was before.
It reminds me of what Matt called, the idealized perception of Obama towards the end among Democrats, which is a witnesser in chief.
Yeah.
Straight out of that playbook.
And I'd like to bring this up in light of today's events that are going on in Israel, which basically, I don't know if you've been following this, but they're experiencing something of a January 6th style event in which mobs of settlers are overrunning military courts and bases. However, it's not to stop the steal. It's to stop the ongoing rape of their political prisoners. And no, this is not an exaggeration.
Well, no, the settlers and politicians are storming the bases. Military police are arresting Israeli soldiers for raping Palestinian detainees in military prisons.
Sorry, I misspoke. It's to stop the arrest of people who are raping their political prisoners.
Yeah, they're going to have a civil war over their soldiers' right to rape. And it's not this is not like a fringe position. Several Likud ministers are involved in this.
What a wonderful country.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Hope it doesn't last too much longer.
The Israeli people really make their government look good, which is really saying something.
I mean, not in this. Like, the government is sort of with the people.
Yeah, I know. But, it's just... they're arresting these guys, or they're at least investigating it, because they want to prove to the International Criminal Court that it can investigate and prosecute their own war criminals. So we don't need your arrest warrants. We'll handle this ourselves. And look what's happening.
Yeah. It is sort of the perfect Israeli thing, because they're trying to show like some sense of like propriety or impartiality, but they can't even like muster that for 2 seconds. They can't even like agree on the idea that it's like bad to rape like a 15-year-old that you arrested for no reason.
Well, they're at war. This is a war right now. And we can't prosecute war crimes when there's a war. Peacetime is when you focus on war crimes, right? You just let them happen, and then maybe 10, 15 years in the future, assuming there isn't another war, then we can deal with them.
But this is the country that Kamala is adopting a slightly more emotive tone about.
I have seen, as you have, I'm sure, the images, the photographs of the loss of civilian life in Gaza, and it is heartbreaking. The injury and death to children. So let me start by saying that it is absolutely tragic when there is ever anywhere any loss of innocent life, of innocent civilians, of children. And there is no word that I can offer you that that justifies any other feeling in terms of the loss of that life. It's tragic.
I just want to follow up specifically with the refugee camp. Do you think that that is a legitimate military target, that it's an acceptable?
We are not telling Israel how it should conduct this war, and so I'm not going to speak to that.